In this episode, we finally get the 440 fired off. Stick around. What's going on, guys? So in this episode right now, I'm trying to do what I can to get you guys up to speed on all the work I've been doing on the charger. So really what I've been focusing the most on is all the wiring. The wiring's really been whooping my butt, and I've actually ended up getting Joey, the shop owner at James Automotive, to come over and help me quite a bit to try to sort this out. So the main problem I'm having is I have 3 separate systems I'm trying to tie into one. I have the American Auto Wire original replacement harness. I have the MSD ignition that I'm wiring in, and then also the FiTech harness. So all of those together have been really becoming kind of a what goes to what, if this, what's constant, what's not, and it's a pain. All right, so as of right now, this is kind of how we're sitting. Have everything pretty much ran through I need to. I'll walk you through on a couple little minor things I have left and show you guys how to do a couple minor things, but really just trying to catch you guys up. We're still working on it. We're still trying to make progress. We're close to firing it, hopefully within maybe the next few weeks, depending on how much time I can get available, and going from there. But let's try to jump in on it and I'll show you what I've done. So right off the bat, what you see is obviously my distributor's in. I got my spark plug wires ran. I got 2 more left that I gotta create, which I'll show you guys how to do them in case you guys end up having to get a build your own kit. I still obviously have to dress it all up and get them all sitting on the rails you're supposed to. I just have them roughly where they're supposed to be. And the wiring. So to kind of show you the walkthrough of what I've done for the wiring. So what I'm doing is I'm running everything to one grounding post for all my grounds for the most part, short of a few systems. And then what I'm going to do is everything else is getting ran all through one giant loom, which I'll run back along the back side, do my split as needed. I'll grom it into where my firewall is, and then take you into where the glove box is. So the glove box is going to be obviously where my main relays are for everything I need to be able to run my fans, my fuel pump, my water pump if I want to run it off that, which I don't think I'm going to run water pump. I'll run that direct and go from there. So to kind of show you, I've really been trying to work as much as I can on getting all this plumbed up. The hardest part for me has just been trying to determine what's going to be constant ground, or what's constant power, what's ignition hot, and then going from there and making sure I'm getting everything plumbed in. Now I'm far from getting the car from being completely wired. So once I get over to the driver's side here and get the door open, you'll see exactly what I mean. So when I go inside the car, it's not pretty at all. So as you can see, everything that's left here, I still have lots of wiring to get done for inside the dash and things like that. And then really from there, I have a lot of the interior work I still got to get done. Not worried too much about the interior yet. I just want to be able to get that thing started and firing. My main only gauge I really want working is my oil pressure. As long as I have oil pressure, everything else will run. I don't care if it's the amp, my amp draw is happening and I gotta charge my battery. I don't care. I just want to hear this thing start off and fire and go from there. Now what I did do is I added little exhaust pipes at the bottom near where my headers are, just to give me a little bit more exhaust beyond that, and so I could weld in my O2 bung to a little piece of pipe, just so I can have something so it can determine air to fuel ratio and doesn't go all bad, because in the FiTech manual there's about 7 spots where it says do not start this without the O2 sensor hooked up. It will damage the FiTech. So that's what I knocked out. So right now all I'm doing is just welding up some temporary exhaust. This is gonna be, I need something just to have the O2 bung go to. I can always cut this shorter if I want, just to get it on the car. The passenger side, because of how the motor is offset, the passenger side can be long. The driver's side, unfortunately, can only be about 6 inches long because it's gonna hit the transmission brace there. So what's gonna end up happening is I'm gonna end up having one shorter. I might cut this one short as well. We'll see. but completely terrible job of me trying to get a seal on this top part. But it did seal up. It's good enough. I just need it so it doesn't leak, which it won't, surprisingly. And really from there, what I'm gonna do then is use this just so I can get my O2 sensor in and I can get the car started, and then from there I can actually get this down to an exhaust shop. But this pipe is like $10, fitting is like 10 bucks, the adapter is like 10 bucks as well. So I got about 30 bucks into my exhaust. I do have the other side I got to knock out too. This is just a quick one. It'll work. Man, is it ugly though. Hideous. I should learn how to weld, huh? Alright, so now I'm at the back of the car. The next thing I'm going to work on is I got to re-drop the tank because I have to wire up the fuel pump. Plus I got to put my grounding strap on so my gauge, my fuel gauge will actually read what I need it to, which is the correct full or empty or whatever it's going to be. Without that grounding strap, that signal doesn't get sent forward and your tank will always read empty. So I'm going to drop the tank, get this car jacked up, drop the tank, and then get everything hooked up and then put it back in. And it's going to be a pain in the ass because, well, number one, it's hot out here. Super muggy. We've had rain and flooding, and, well, I've only been on for like 20 minutes. I'm already sweating terribly, so. A little loud in here, but I'm glad I'm going back through this fuel tank because I don't have a hose clamp on the return line, which would have been a big fuel leak on the return line. So yeah, all right, let's get this plumbed in. You'll be my downfall, baby. So the last part that I have right now is the ground for my sending unit and the ground for my actual fuel pump. All I'm going to do right now is make a little spot somewhere back here on the frame rail, figure out where I can bolt these two, and that's the last thing I have left. Once the fuel tank goes up, it should be good to go back here, and then it's to the fuse relays, which I'm putting off towards the end. Hopefully it's not too dark in here. However, the main there we go. So I have my main wires coming through on the back side of the firewall, punching through my glove box. Each one's relayed through as needed. I gotta mount my ground, my universal ground that I have here, and then essentially this thing should be ready to fire. I have to prime the fuel system and go from there. I did already rewire a lot of the fuel system in the back to make sure that that's actually soldered correctly, and I have all of my connections complete on that. But yeah, so we're pretty close. We're pretty close to getting this thing fired up. Hopefully, possibly by this video or start of next one, this thing will actually fire off. So that's what I've been working on right now, and then I'll take you through a couple more things, a little smaller things that I'm trying to finish up as well. Go from there. So the last thing that came in, which is going to be helpful obviously for this, is the hood. Two separate companies for two separate body parts. Hood came from US Body. Relatively a little bit more expensive when you're looking at fiberglass work. Much better quality. Looks to be much more of a finished product. I don't want to cut a hole in the steel hood, so I got no issue cutting the fiberglass. So we'll have to get that mounted, which is also what I'll get to in a future video once I get to that point. The trunk lid, though, however, is a came from yes, it came from Show Cars Dash Body Parts. Show Cars, I guess, is like their general name. Finish definitely is not as good. However, much cheaper. The US Body didn't make a bolt-on trunk lid. They only made, actually I don't think they made anything. Show Cars was the only one that makes a bolt-on one that at the time that I found. So yeah, so other than that, this is kind of what I've been working on. I'll walk you through a little bit more updated now as I'm going through some things and kind of go from there. But yeah, other than that, keep working. Hit or miss whenever I'm down here. Right now we're trying to figure out what we need to make for the last bits of the cable going from the battery, the starter, or battery to the grounding post, battery to my main connection, I guess, fuse box, which isn't a box, it's just a little panel where I have all my positives. So working on trying to build all those, trying to piece together all the little ends that we need. Honestly, just trying to push through. So making a little grounding strap right now. That will go from, I'll show you, it'll end up going from my negative over to my grounding post I have. So, show you briefly how you can make those real simple, real easy. Unfortunately, you just gotta find all the parts you need. It's kind of the part we're struggling with, trying to get everything last minute because I didn't plan for today to, well, I didn't forecast it, it's my bad. So it's pretty simple. Take your battery lug or your wire lug in general. These are called slugs. You can buy them. I got mine through O'Reilly's. You can buy them through a bunch of different places online. You take it, you literally just place it inside. Some of them don't exactly fit perfect. You can kind of barely tap them in. Once they get hot, just become a solder, melts in there, shove the terminal in there. Make sure you get a good connection with it, and it should just anchor in, and when it dries and it kind of cools down, you got a good metal connection to a metal connection, and yeah, go from there. So that's kind of how you make these, real simple. I'll do the other one here in a second. Once I know that that's cool enough for me to kind of move around, and yeah, easy, super easy. Put it from the bell, right?
Yeah. All right.
What's our fuel pressure at?
Well, it's going down, which we're dropping. We shouldn't be dropping any fuel pressure, but
Well, I get the leak, that's why.
yeah.
That was running. I was off of it.
Go ahead. I'm gonna hook up power back up.
Okay.
You need to recheck your computer to see if it reset itself.
Yep.
Because that way we can, because I want to be able to hit the key
And have it actually cycle.
and see if, make sure it does that. And then once that's good, then it should fix your fuel leaks and shit. I can't sleep at night. And when something bothers me, it's even worse because that's all I think about. I was gonna some get once again last night. That's two, damn it. First the fuse, and then a firing order. Yeah, I should say firing location, not order. Firing order was correct.
Yeah, order wasn't wrong. It was,
The directional was wrong.
yeah. All right, so that's gonna wrap it up for this one. Massive shout out right off the bat to Joey at James Automotive. There's no way in hell I would have got this thing to fire off if it wasn't for him coming over and helping me get this thing actually set up, running, driving, or running and being able to fire without him. I'd be weeks, if not months before this, just stumped. He was the one who was able to diagnose. I was having an issue last night trying to get this thing to fire off because I had it set up for a clockwise rotation on the distributor. He's the one who corrected me. It should be a counterclockwise on a big block Mopar, clockwise on a small block Mopar. And then also, he cut the fact that we couldn't get the fuel pump to kick on last night because I didn't put a fuse in it, which is kind of important. So again, it's amazing how much he can just look at something and be like, yeah, that's wrong right there. So massive shout out. The knowledge that he has, I'm forever grateful for. But until then, I'm gonna try to continue working on a couple things. Cooling, gotta get my radiator back in here. Gotta get everything plumbed so I can run it and keep it running for a long time to get this thing to calibrate and run as it needs to, let it idle how it needs to. I can set timing. And then also I got a lot of wiring on the inside. I wanted to be able to fire off the column and not essentially hot wiring it how we're doing it. So those are gonna be my next two main projects I'm gonna work with. And then from there, it's just gonna start trying to clean up everything, get this thing looking a bit better, get the hood put on, cut the holes. There's a lot more to keep making progress. So if you guys like what you see, hit like, subscribe, and comment below if you guys want me to try to elaborate on anything that I built in here, on where I got it, how I built it, or anything like that. But till then, keep building.